How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today I'm here to take you on a scenic tour of some of Northern Colorado's best towns, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Evertson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver metro area or the Colorado Front Range, then this is the channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little creative and educational here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. They're winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is a tour of some of the best towns in Northern Colorado. All right, so on this tour, we are heading north out of Denver, and we're gonna make this nice loop. So we're gonna begin with two towns really close together. That is Firestone and Frederick, Colorado, located just off of I-25 as you're heading north out of Denver, roughly about 30 to 40 minutes north of Denver and just east of I-25. So Firestone, a rapidly growing community, lots of new construction there. They got a cool little downtown area and very popular for one, its new development, two, for its affordability, and a lot of just reasons to be outdoors. When I mentioned that it's just off I-25, yes, the town itself is, but far enough tucked away to where you kind of get that quiet suburb, small town feel to it. And as I mentioned, two of the biggest things about Firestone that you'll hear from the community is how family friendly it is, as well as outdoor activities, a lot to do there in Firestone. And they also have, for a small town feel, a rapid growing community. You've got a lot of new commercial buildings being built there in the area. We're not talking skyscrapers, don't get me wrong, but a lot of commercial space opening and a lot of economic development in Firestone. Heading just slightly north of Firestone, we have Frederick, Colorado, home to just a very cool, historic little downtown, a lot of character in the town of Frederick. St. Vrain School District takes care of Frederick, takes care of most of this area, highly rated. And when talking to people of the community, people who live in Frederick who have experienced it, schools came to the top of that conversation. They were very, very impressed with the schools in the area. And again, similar to Firestone, I mean, we're talking about two communities that are really side by side. And so outdoor activities, a lot of hikes, a lot of trails, a lot of fishing in the area, very popular for that. And the last piece of feedback that I got from Frederick was how close-knit the community is. A lot of events in their downtown area, a lot of things for families, community that the term safe was used quite often. Again, whenever I say that word, I always tell people to do your due diligence. But between Firestone and Frederick, safe was a word that came up quite a bit. Family friendly, good schools, lots of outdoor activities, a lot of community events. So reasons why not only is that community close geographically, but close in the flow that people who live in one tend to enjoy the other as well. Now, jumping back over to I-25, we're gonna head just a little farther north and west of I-25, and we're gonna hit Longmont, Colorado. Now, Longmont, one of the bigger cities or towns north of Denver, still within a quick shot, maybe 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic. 45 probably being more accurate from Longmont down into Denver, and Longmont also a quick less than 30-minute drive over to Boulder. Every time I make a video and mention driving times, I always get people in the comments commenting, so by all means, improve my algorithms with your driving opinions. I love it. But Longmont, definitely a tech hub of Northern Colorado. A lot of companies moving to that area and a lot of progress in the tech space in Longmont. A lot of companies moving that way for different reasons. So Longmont's gonna be big for recreation. A lot of reasons. I mean, obviously you got the Rocky Mountains right there, but a lot of trails. You've got Union Reservoir, you've got McIntosh Lake. So a lot of outdoor, a lot of green space open. Longmont is not just, population-wise sits around 100,000, but it's a sizable town. Geographically, there's a lot of space in it. Longmont also has an outstanding downtown. Historic, You really feel that from, old silver and gold miners moving out to Colorado, Old West stuff. But along that stretch of road, Main Street, as many downtowns are called, but Main Street, Longmont, some really cool restaurants. And some of our favorite, my wife being Venezuelan, some of our favorite Latin restaurants are there in Longmont. Random, but true and delicious. And then educational institutions there. You've got Front Range Community College, pretty highly rated schools throughout Longmont. Again, Longmont High School there. Very positive feedback from Longmont for that. And again, I think the thing that really will bring people's attention to these first three, Firestone, Frederick, getting over to Longmont, is that you still have that quick access down to Denver if you need. We haven't quite gotten into the northern parts of Colorado. We haven't reached the wall yet, my little Game of Thrones fans, but we're getting there. So next up on our list, as we leave Longmont and we start heading north, just a ways between Longmont and Loveland, we reach a small town called Berthoud, Colorado. Very popular for its small town charm. Got, that little teeny one road downtown area that's just a couple blocks, little shops, coffee shops, lots of mom and pop, obviously. And then you've got just these really cool little neighborhoods around it. Railroad running right through it. Berthoud is small town of small towns. Berthoud is also popular. The Thompson School District takes care of it. Highly rated schools throughout Berthoud. And again, there really hasn't been a community that I spoke to in which people knocked the schools. They might knock an individual school, which I'm not going to go into depth in here in any community, but overall people were impressed with what they found in Berthoud and they enjoyed living there. Outdoor activities, you got Carter Lake, and again, you're west of I-25, so not too far from the Rocky Mountains. That's pretty obvious. And one of the key pieces of feedback that I got on Berthoud was how quiet of a town it is. And I think you see that. When you pull into Berthoud, you don't exactly get the feel for a town that is going to be lighting it up at night. Pretty quiet, pretty reserved, pretty calm. Again, that classic small town feel. Jumping out of Berthoud and driving again just a little farther north, we hit Loveland, Colorado. Really an arts and culture hub of northern Colorado. And Loveland, known for its really cool downtown area. And again, when we talk about arts, we're talking about painting, we're talking about graffiti, we're talking about wall art, we're talking about sculptures. A lot going on, and it's a key component of what makes Loveland, Loveland. Outdoor recreation doesn't get much better than Boyd Lake State Park. You also have Devil's Backbone, great area for hiking. Boyd Lake State Park, really great area to get the boats out. One of the unique things about Loveland is that you've got a lot of different neighborhoods, some really cool spaces there in Loveland. Loveland is also really popular with locals for some of its festivals. Included in these festivals, you got the Sweetheart Festival there in Loveland. You got the Cherry Pie Festival in Loveland. So again, community events, festivals, very popular in Loveland. All of these communities, again, I didn't hear a single community where they talked about, no, don't raise your kids here, it's bad. I did get some feedback on some areas being a little quieter for kids, if you will. But Loveland, something common was the fact that not just the community, but the schools do a great job of doing different things within the community, getting people around, and that there was a strong sense of community. And so people repeatedly told me, it's a great place to raise your kids, great place to raise your kids, great place to raise your kids. That, again, is past client opinion. Are my clients always right? I mean, at least when they decided to work with me, they are. So, I mean, they got that going for them. All right, so continuing our journey north on I-25, we hit our northernmost point, at least as far as this video is concerned, and that is Fort Collins, Colorado. One of the most popular areas in all of Colorado to live, and one that is really gaining a lot of momentum for it. Fort Collins is home to Colorado State University, one of the state's largest universities. Very popular for both veterinarian and equestrian programs, among others. But Fort Collins has a great blend of a decent-sized town with that college town element. Outdoor activities galore there in Fort Collins. You've got Horsetooth Reservoir, you've got the Poudre River, you've got hiking trails, you're right along the Rockies. There are a lot of things to do in Fort Collins to get outside. It's also a town that is very green, and that's not, when you hear green in summertime, the Denver metro area and a lot of Colorado, especially as you get south in Colorado, our greens get really yellowish. We're a high plains desert, it's pretty dry. Fort Collins does have a nice tint of green to it. Can't go to Fort Collins if you're not going to hit some breweries. Some of the biggest breweries in the country, but some of the more popular, including Odell's Brewery, is there at Fort Collins, and very popular for breweries. And that would just lead you right into their fantastic downtown area. I always say it in every video in which I talk about a downtown. If you know me, you know I am a fan of downtown areas in different towns. Obviously, cities are cities, but downtowns and these little towns are awesome. Fort Collins, among the best. Tons of people walking around, tons of walkability, restaurants, shops, mom and pop, really fantastic. And again, some of those breweries are going to be down there, as well as some great restaurants to check out. Note to people driving, I like to pull up too far into intersections, and their crosswalks are a little set back from the light, a little more than you might normally see. So I just like to block pedestrians and piss them off. But I learn after 2 or 3 lights. It happens every time I visit Fort Collins. I apologize, Fort Collins, ahead of time. Now, a couple other factors as far as Fort Collins, certainly a lot of economic growth, very big in tech, finance, healthcare, but it was quality of life that stood out to me. The people of Fort Collins, not just from national rankings on a consistent basis, but the people who live there rave about Fort Collins. Now, some are a little upset about its recent growth, about some of its cost of living increases and cost of housing increases that I think Colorado as a whole has seen, and people moving from other areas to Fort Collins, but overall quality of life very high. The last thing I would mention goes back to those cultural events and festivals, very popular to Fort Collins. So among these, again, it's a brewery place. You've got the Colorado Brewers Festival, you've got the Tour de Fat, and you've got the Fort Collins Music Experiment. Among others, lots of events going on. Fort Collins definitely going to be one of, if not the #1 spot as far as towns in northern Colorado. Why did I put it, 5th on my list? Well, because we're going geographically, baby. This is a tour. So after Fort Collins, we're actually gonna head a little south, and then we're gonna go a little east until we hit Windsor, Colorado. So the #1 thing out of Windsor, I mentioned it in some of the other communities, but it was quality of life. First and foremost, when they talked about the neighborhoods and the community, the residents of Windsor raved about how much they enjoy living in Windsor. And this was from a variety of different living styles, whether they were single, whether they were couples, whether they were living with other people, whether they were raising a family. Quality of life raised to the top of their list. Among the other popular things, you had the Windsor Community Center, a recreational center there in Windsor. You've also got the Boardwalk Park. A lot of outdoor amenities, a lot of outdoor activities for people. Some of the coolest neighborhoods I've seen. So Windsor has a lot of new development, a lot of new construction there. I've mentioned, a fan of downtown areas, but I'm also a fan of lakes with houses right along it in areas that aren't like oversaturated, like smaller lakes with houses. Windsor has a ton of that, some of the coolest new construction you're ever gonna see. Now, as I told you, I'm a fan of downtown areas, and Windsor has a great downtown area with, a couple blocks of walking, shopping, a lot of mom and pop places. You really get that small town feel when you're in it. Absolutely hits. And right there along that downtown area is Windsor Lake. So you've got people taking their boats out, going for swims right there. Very picturesque. When I was flying my drone up there, visiting Windsor, been up plenty of times. The first time I've ever gone up to fly my drone, and really just a great setting where you've got the water right there, your downtown area. Talk about a great place to spend a summer day or just a nice day with sun's out, hot, get out on the boat. All the things, it checks the box. Leaving Windsor, we're gonna keep working our way east until we hit one of the more affordable communities in all of Colorado to live in, that is Greeley, Colorado. Now, Greeley is home to the University of Northern Colorado. So again, certainly a decent sized town with that college town feel, especially obviously when students are in and school is in session. Now, Greeley's big on agriculture. They've got a lot of different economic factors playing a part in Greeley, but was founded as a farm town, continues to be huge into agriculture. You'll see that. And as I mentioned, one of the things that will drive a lot of traffic towards Greeley is its affordability. And when I mention that diverse economy, we're talking about agriculture, talking about education, obviously being home to the University of Northern Colorado. You've got a lot of healthcare positions, some tech going into Greeley, but for the most part, a few different factors. And then manufacturing, a lot of manufacturing. Greeley is, the feedback you get on Greeley a lot is it is a blue collar community. It takes a lot of pride in that. It takes a lot of pride in the fact that they get to work, that they put in the time, that they work their tails off. And then as far as recreational activities, you got the Poudre River Trail just outside of downtown Greeley, not too far. Lots of outdoor activities. You got a great park right there in downtown Greeley. And downtown Greeley, obviously a great spot. So downtown Greeley is also home to a lot of the Weld County buildings. So you'll see that. Obviously your state capitol down there. And a couple blocks again of walkability with some shops, some bars, great places to stop over. And last but not least, as we wrap out of Greeley, we start heading back southwest. We hit Johnstown, Colorado. Johnstown, again, not too far east of I-25, but north of Firestone, north of Frederick. Johnstown is one of those communities that is just growing. We'll start with a great downtown area. A lot of activity there. Again, you've got some great neighborhoods right there in that downtown. So a lot of houses where you could tell people can just walk over, they can jump on bikes right over to their downtown area and enjoy it. A lot of festivities down there. And you've got a great small town feel to Johnstown, much like a Berthoud, but larger in scale in that downtown area, a lot bigger than Berthoud's by comparison. By no means a big downtown, but larger. Very family friendly, and as I mentioned, a growing community. You'll see a ton of new construction, a lot of new houses, a lot of new schools, a lot of new things in Johnstown. And it's got a pretty good location to it. One thing that people like about Johnstown is that, again, you're a little farther outside of Denver, a little farther from Longmont. Obviously, you're farther from Fort Collins. So kind of out of those areas, really in this new build suburb community, but you still have pretty quick access. You can get down to Denver within roughly 45 minutes. Again, maybe an hour if traffic gets a little out there. You can get over to Boulder or Longmont if you need to. So people love the location of Johnstown. And then that economic development, because you have all of this growth, similar to what I mentioned in Firestone and Frederick. You'll see in Johnstown a lot of commercial building taking place, especially along that I-25 corridor. So a lot of activity happening in Johnstown. It will be one of those communities that will be interesting to watch what happens there over the next 5 to 10 years. As when you look back 5 to 10 years, there was little or nothing there. But just think, these are 9 of the best towns in northern Colorado. And over these next few weeks, get ready, because we're going to take a deeper dive into some of these, into each of these, so we can get a better look. But I certainly wanted to give you this first introduction to many of these towns, some of which you may not have heard of yet. But if you're looking at Colorado, northern Colorado has a lot going on for it, and I want you to check it out. And this is in one of those situations where I'd love to get your feedback. What do you want to know? What do you want to learn? What did I hit? What did I miss? And that's a great time to hit me up with a phone call, with a text, with an email, with a comment. My number and email on your screen. Know that I am always the person answering those phone calls, answering those texts, answering those emails. There, winning if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. That was a tour of the best towns in northern Colorado. Till I see you next time, peace.